Shit 90 Shows Taught Me.
Shit 90 Shows Taught Me was not filmed before a live studio audience.
Are you ready to put on your assless chaps and dress as a pregnant lady to go to a fetish ball? So are we. Welcome back to Shit 90 Shows Taught Me. I'm Jess Sterling here with my co-host, Sarah Humphrey. Sarah, how are you?
I'm doing really well. I would love to go to the fetish ball with you. I feel like this would be a great time. I'm so curious, what fetish you want to represent.
Oh, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Pregnant lady feels like a fun idea in theory, but then very uncomfortable in like actuality.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that one. I don't know. Ooh, you know what it is? You know what I would do?
What?
Furries. Definitely.
Oh, you know what? This makes a lot of sense.
Like a onesie. Yeah,
high in comfort for you since you refuse to dress up and look like a normal human.
Multi-purpose because you could wear the onesie at home and it's just like comfy clothes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Yes.
I think that tracks for you. And
yes.
what would it take you or take me to get you to go to the fetish ball with me?
Like if this was real.
Yes. Absolutely.
I might go just for funsies, but the problem is I think the late night aspect, I would get tired.
You know everybody's rolling in that shit, right?
Yes, obviously. Okay. You have to be.
Okay.
Well, we have a special guest, and I feel like the perfect question to ask him as he comes on to the podcast is, Tom Palmer, what would you wear to the fetish ball? Assless chaps?
I mean, I think that's definitely the biggest gesture. I mean, because here's the thing, I feel like if your girlfriend is like, we have to go to the fetish ball and you're not into it, you could really half-ass it and just like wear like a little bit of leather. Like,
you can half-ass it.
It really was something where Sean really could have done so much less, and yet he went all out. He full ass chapped it, or full assless. I don't know. There's something there.
Full assless chapped it.
Yes.
Yeah, it was incredible, Tom. I remember, so you picked this episode. This was an episode that you were like, this is the episode I would like to come on and talk about. And you can correct us if we're wrong, but it has to just be the assless chaps storyline. Like that is the 100% reason why you are here.
100%. It definitely was not any of the other storylines. But that was the one storyline I remember. That was not even the storyline. I just remembered the image at the end. And I was like, I want to talk about that.
Yes.
And then I started the episode. I was like, oh, what have I done?
You know what? I love a man ass. I'm not lying. Who
doesn't love a man ass?
Yeah. I mean, I love cupping the butt. I love touching the butt. I like pinching the butt. And Sean's butt was very pinchable.
It was very pinchable. I think probably also like there was a bit of squeezing that was being done by the leather pants in a way that was very gracious and helpful for Sean. But yeah, justice for the man butt. I feel like back in the day, Tom, we constantly on our movie screens, on our television screens, it was just boobs for days, nipples everywhere. And we rarely got to see full frontal of a man, usually.
Right.
But I feel like we have now entered the era of the man ass. Like I feel like man asses are just all over my television screen lately, and I'm here for it, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can show like man butts on regular network television.
I think you can't show the crack. I think the crack is the problem. The cheeks are fair game, hence the assless chaps being fine. But the minute you show ass crack, you're done.
Okay. So that's the dividing line. Okay.
Literally the dividing line.
Man, this is such a philosophical question. So often people come to me and say, Sarah, like, tell me what kind of podcast you have. It has to be super intellectual. And I say, no, it's just about dick and boob jokes. That's it.
It's pretty much the whole thing. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. I I like this episode. I mean, like Felicity season 3 is just like full on crack mode, but like once again,
Literally,
you
it's
have to
crack.
go stop it. You just have to go full in, and this is exactly my philosophy with Dawson's Creek season whatever the fuck it was. You just have to let go and live, and if you do that, then you will not be disappointed. And this is where I live, especially with most of my television. If I just let go and go full into the crazy, then I too am crazy and having a good time. So I like Loser Pet Store. I thought that was great. I I like the assless chaps and Earl and the fact that Megan felt like she was losing her identity. I'm very happy that Elena is hopefully done with the storyline, but like I also like really respect her integrity. And then in Molly's case and Ben, incredibly unrelatable to come across a bathroom full of hair. Like, I don't think that could ever happen in real life, but it's an interesting think piece to go into a bathroom thinking that you're just going in and going to pee and you find hair everywhere. What a fucking crazy ass thing to think of.
It's
'Cause
just
I
so
could not.
weird. Yeah, it's just so weird.
Weird. It's
Like
such a
Who would do such a thing?
Like the idea that someone would like get high and start randomly cutting hair. That's just such a strange, unthinkable thing that could happen to anyone.
I could not think of it. I could not fathom it. I definitely wouldn't think about being able to live it. And being like Felicity and just worrying that this person that you care about is offing themselves in a locked room and you can't get access to them or find them, and you're worried to death and you have no idea what's happening. That would be crazy to experience. And I, for one, am glad that I have never had that same exact experience in my life.
Yeah.
Let's start with Ben and Molly because we're already talking about it.
We're gonna start there. Okay.
We're gonna start there. Yeah, because we find out one of my favorite scenes in this entire episode when they're in their little it's not NA. It's what is that's the Alcoholics Anonymous.
I think they're calling it
Al-Anon or something, right? Yeah. When they're at group and they're, anybody else want to share? And Molly's like, listen, my boyfriend James, it's the ongoing saga he's continuing to use, and this time it's coke. And I absolutely adore the therapist being like, crack cocaine. She's like, that's right, people, not just coke, good old crack. And like the 90s were very in on crack. Like it was always crack, it wasn't coke. They were like, oh, crack cocaine, like it was always like this big thing. And so Molly is like, he's dragging me down again, and he's lying, and he's doing all these things, and now I'm using too. And Ben's like, the fuck, girl, like I have to hide this from Felicity now. Like, you need help, you need to get help. James is no good for you, he's no bueno, get him out of your life. And I think this is a thing we hear a lot, Tom, of a character who's like, I'm so addicted to this man, like I am so addicted to this person, which like sure could be a thing. I guess Tag from Friends, I mean James, just has a magnetic personality.
No, I don't.
He's just hot. He's just hot, Tom. That's all it is. He's just hot.
Yeah. That's it. By the way, did you also recognize him from his Dawson's Creek appearance?
I forgot he was in Dawson's Creek. Who the hell did he play in Dawson's Creek? Wait a minute.
So you remember when Dawson was dating Natasha?
No,
the actress.
Natasha. Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Later seasons, yes.
Yeah, and they were working on the movie, and then they got the other actor came in, and then Natasha totally cheated on Dawson with the other actor. He was the guy that Natasha cheated on.
Wow, he's really getting around on television. Like, he's just sleeping with everyone.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
Good for him. He's in other stuff too. But that's the shit 90s connection.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, and I know that these groups are supposed to be anonymous. Frankly, once they realized they knew each other, they should have been going to different groups, because the whole point of it being anonymous is that you say stuff with strangers you couldn't say to people you know. Because once Ben knows that she's using, I think he's got to tell Felicity. Like, I know it's in an anonymous group, but his priority is going to be his girlfriend. So I think it just tells Felicity, and I think they just kick Molly out, and just, in the real world, you should just be done with Molly.
Yeah. Yeah, on this show, though, they're really trying to make Molly happen. And Ben is like trying to be a nice guy, right, Sarah? He's like, I will take you like to like rehab or whatever. Like, you need help. And she's like, she does come to him and say, you were right. James is bad for me. Like, I need to end things, but I can't. She blows him off at rehab, and push comes to shove, Sarah, and James has run out of money because of his like coke addiction or something. And it's like, oh, okay, well, James is going to live with us now, and it's going to be temporary, but I love him so much. Like, look at his adorable face. He's going to move in.
Yeah, it seems as though Molly is really digging herself deep, and kind of like I've talked about in previous episodes, like people that have addictions typically tend to have this ability to manipulate, whether it be intentional or not. And people that have big hearts like Ben will kind of like go along with it, and because they care and they feel semi-responsible now. And whether or not Molly is intentionally bringing Ben into this and sharing enough information for Ben to care and feel responsible for her, and like feel responsible in like separating her from James, like intentional or not, manipulation or not, it's happening. And Ben is really, really trying to help her and cares about her, but she is not ready to face reality, that she has a problem as much as James, give or take, whatever. It's an addiction. She admits to having addiction issues, and she is in denial. And we see kind of a spiral down the toilet between her and James, where they're using and getting themselves in situations, and like James uses his charisma with her, their relationship, the fact that, you know, she relies on him for whatever, and his giant piece, I guess. And she like kind of probably feels like, I mean, she's from England, she probably feels like he's like her only person there. Like, it's
she did say she's like feels like she did come to New York for him.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, she is solely relying on him.
Yeah.
And it's really easy for her to slip, right? When someone passes you something, it's very easy to just be like, yep, okay, we're doing this. And ultimately, I knew, Sarah, did you have an inkling this was coming? Like, the minute I saw Molly this episode with like that giant ass stretchy headband on her head, I'm like, that is a fuck ass wig. Look at that wig.
I really wasn't paying attention to that. Like, I cannot articulate to you how little Molly is a non-entity in my life. Like, I could not care less about Molly. I really just want to be like, stay away from Ben, you witch. Like, get away from him. But in terms of like the hair, I didn't notice it. The hair thing was a surprise. So her and James get high on who the fuck knows? I mean, cocaine, crack cocaine. I don't know. It was crack, I guess, which is just cocaine, but then like you put it in the oven and then it's cooked, and then now you have crack cocaine. I think that's how it works. I'm not quite sure. You put it in your easy bake oven and then it comes out on the other side and it's crack cocaine. That's what I've learned. So they spot some scissors. And sometimes when you open up a drawer and there are scissors, and you are so struck by how sharp these scissors can be, the only thought in your mind must be, I think I need to give my girlfriend a haircut or myself a haircut.
Mhm.
And it's so tempting. How could you say no? So she's like resisting. She's like, I don't want a haircut. No, thank you. I like my hair the way it is. And he goes, no, you need a haircut. And she winds up letting him give her the haircut from hell. And the bathroom, when Felicity finds it, covered with clumps and clumps of hair, which, like I said before, is a crazy concept. I would have never heard of such a thing.
I mean, I know they did drugs, but like clean up after yourself. You know what I mean? Like, this is disturbing. Looks like there was a massacre happening in there.
If I was in this situation, that would be my first thought too. Like, why can't we clean up? And like, if I was in this situation, I'd be like, hey, there's a little bit of a mess. Like, what happened in the bathroom? But
I think in this situation, after you do drugs and cut hair, I think for some reason you're like, well, now I need to like cut an apple or something and take like 5 minutes cutting an apple. I mean,
you would think
that's just like an imaginary.
They got
scenario.
snacky, you know. When you do drugs and cut hair, you get snacky.
Yeah,
and
they did leave. They did leave, and I don't know where they went.
Well, that's the thing. They fell on left, and it's freaking Felicity out. And it's at this point, because so far Ben has bitten his tongue. He has not said anything. And it's at this point that Ben is like, absolutely not. James is a psychopath. They like lift up one of his bags, and a ginormous gun just comes flying out. And Ben reminds us all, like, yeah, James not only does drugs, but he also deals drugs. And so now we're in a real sticky situation, because doing drugs is one thing, right? Like, I mean, not great, but you know, that's your choice, I suppose. Pretty bad. However, dealing drugs and just having a gun just laying around is way worse, because one, you know, life or death situations. Two, they're still living on university camp, like university housing. So like, not great, Bob. Like, they probably all could get in a significant amount of trouble. So like, all bad things. And Ben has had it, because if we know one thing about Ben, Tom, it is how much he loves Felicity, and he's like, not on my watch, bitch. Not on my watch.
Yeah, the gun freaked me out too. Like, trouble, sure, you know, so you just don't want a scary drug addict to have a gun around you. That's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, I'd say.
And yeah, I mean, I think the show is kind of trying to paint Molly in a sympathetic light, but last episode when Ben was like, I think you need to tell Felicity, and she was like, no, and this is anonymous. You can't tell stuff that's in anonymous. It's
illegal. That's how she acted. And it's like, okay, but what your boyfriend doing is also illegal. So like,
no, but that the whole, it's anonymous. You can't tell, like, red flags were going off. That was her. I was like, I intentional or not, she at the very least, she's subconsciously like gaslighting him into keeping her secrets for her and allowing her to lie to Felicity, and like knowing that they won't compare stories because what she tells him has to stay anonymous. And I'm like,
yeah,
again, not to talk about any real life examples, but that's like a kind of a classic moves. You can't tell anyone about this. I'm only sharing this with you.
Oh, yeah. I just have a question, and maybe you both don't know this. Is like Alcoholics Anonymous, like if you share something, is it kind of like therapist rules? Like, we can't tell you, or we won't share, except if you are in danger of yourself or others?
I mean, my understanding is it's an honor code. It's I mean, they're not professional therapists.
Right. They're not legally like indebted to anyone. I think it's like Tom is saying, it's just like, be cool, you know, don't share anything. However, I feel like personally, I don't know how everyone else feels or how like generally people feel, but like at the point where people's lives are at risk and someone is a danger to others, I feel like Ben is well within his right to speak up and tell Felicity and be like, we got to get this guy out of here. Like, and he's trying to help Molly. That's the thing. That's what I always came away with, is like, he's doing his best. But when she finally does show up with her new little fuck ass Bob, she's like, you can't tell me what to do. Like, this is my boyfriend and you can't just kick him out. And he basically is like, if you're going to be doing drugs, like, you got to go too, which I felt like maybe a hair of a step too far, Sarah. Like, I feel like almost he should have had that conversation with Felicity first, because it isn't even his apartment. Like, I feel like if someone's going to be kicking Molly out, you got to clear that with Felicity. I understand where he's coming from, but like, for him to just be like, all right, that's it, goodbye. Like, that's,
Yeah,
that's a big
I
step.
mean, that is fair. However, I think that we can tell that Felicity wouldn't do it herself. Felicity would probably put herself in danger before she puts out Molly. I also think that like Ben is trying to be a protector of Felicity, and also he feels like he got. Like, that's also the thing. Like, when you are, I mean, it's bad enough that he already got by his dad over and over and over again. But for Molly too, so he's just over it. Like, I think that he's over the whole thing of being taken advantage of by these people that puts him in a situation where he, number one, cares, and number two, is showing a lot of like generosity and understanding and patience, and they take advantage of his time and his kindness. Like, his dad kept standing him up and ditching him. Molly like literally was like, I'm gonna meet you at rehab. He waited there for 3 hours, almost as long as like I waited on the phone for Social Security to change my last name. Almost, not quite, but he waited there for 3 hours and she did not show up. He is sick and tired of getting taken advantage of by these people that know how to, and like it's like I really do understand that like it's an addict, like it's an illness, like I understand, but like there's a level of protection that you have to give yourself, especially if you're somebody that is very prone to be dragged along with like these types of people, because like my heart is really, really big like Ben's, and I have like gone and experienced this sort of thing where it's just like I'm the only one that's here for them, like I'm the only one that cares, and like I'm the one that can do this and that for them, and it just, once again, you put yourself in a bad position, and it sucks, like it sucks all around. So also the fact that Molly's hair, even though it was short, looks pretty, like the amount of hair that Molly cut with the clumps, if it was my hair, I would have zero hair. The fact that Molly had hair left, an inconceivable point of reality. I could not imagine.
There's no way that a high James is doing that level of work on her hair. Like, that looked, I mean, Tom, don't we all think that she went to a hairdresser after? Like, it had to have looked like shit, and then she went and got it fixed.
Probably, I guess. I don't know.
Like, her hair looks better than Felicity's, and Felicity went to a professional hairstylist.
That is true. Maybe that's where they went. Maybe afterwards they're like, oh, we're going to grab a snack.
We done fucked up. We got to get this fixed.
But also we're going to go to the hairdresser.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think maybe doing drugs makes you want to cut hair, and so maybe that's like the one good thing about doing drugs is you suddenly have hair cutting abilities.
I do think there is something about having a breakdown, whether it be from a breakup, whether it be like anxiety driven, or whether it be like due to taking immense amount of drugs, that like makes you want to chop off your hair. Your hair feels like it's like a symbol of who you are, and you're just like, I don't want to be this person anymore. Snip, snip, snip. Like, I mean, hair, especially I think trope wise, stereotypically wise, like women. So it makes sense. It doesn't make sense that her hair looks as good as it does. But the thing that was interesting to me is that Ben doesn't say, like, he does say James has to leave, like, no question. He doesn't say that Molly can't stay until she says, I'm not going with you to the clinic. Like, I'm not going there. And he's like, then you gotta go. And I wonder, part of me wonders, Tom, if it's because we just heard him say to Felicity last episode, like, you have such a big heart. You always say yes to people. Like, you need to learn to say no. You can't just keep doing this to yourself, putting people before you. I think part of him is nervous that he doesn't want what happened to him with his father so many times over the years to also happen to Felicity.
100%. Yeah. And Sarah's nailed it. He's already sort of let it happen to him again with Molly. He's already sort of believed her. And I think it was this episode where at some point when she was talking about James moving in, he was like, I thought you said you were going to break up with James. And she was like, oh, I didn't say that. And that was another thing where that got to me, because it was like, that's the gaslighting part. That's I didn't say that. You must be say, oh, I meant to, but then something happened. But it's when you lie to me about what you said to me, and I know you said this, and it just, you can see Ben losing it. And I know it's probably a step too far for him to be the one to kick her out when he's not the one living there. But I agree with Sarah. I don't think Felicity would be up for that. And I think Ben's just like, I know Felicity won't do it, but she needs to. And so I'm going to step in here, and maybe I'm going a step too far, but I'd rather go a step too far than let this continue, because this is bad news.
Yeah, because he also has no real, I guess, Sarah, it might be a little bit different if this was like Sean or someone that Ben is close to, but he's really not. Like, yes, he has a kinship with Molly because of what they've both experienced. They're both in Al-Anon, that sort of thing. Like, they've both had really traumatic experiences with addicts, but that doesn't inherently make them friends. And so he doesn't really have any, I'm trying to think, kind of culpability here to be looking out for Molly. He's looking out for Felicity. So he doesn't really care. Like, fine, if you're on the street or you're off with James doing whatever, I don't care. I'm here to keep my friends and my girlfriend safe.
I think he does care. It's just a matter of he's angry because, once again, he feels duped. So I think that maybe we know that Ben's very reactionary. Typically, he uses violence to get out his feelings is his first response. Obviously, he's not going to punch Molly in the face. Maybe he would have James. But so I think that he maybe catch him in a day. I think next episode we'll see some feelings of guilt that he kicked Molly off to the streets, especially when we spend the entire episode trying to find Molly wherever we're going to find her in the trash can.
God, I hope not. But the thing is for a fact, if Elena had been home during all of this, she very much would be on board. She'd be like, get them out of here.
I think so too, because Elena has a zero tolerance policy. That's Elena's personality.
She's very black and white. She doesn't really live in the gray much.
No.
So yeah.
No, she would absolutely kick Molly out in a second. She doesn't want that shit by her, which is once again, it's understandable. Especially you're right. This is school housing, university housing. If I don't know, I doubt that they do dorm checks. They
probably don't, but even still, if there's some sort of situation that occurs there, and I don't mean to point that as that's the reason why they shouldn't have him there. It's just an additional thing that I do think a character like Elena would think of. I do think that would weigh on her mind as to we can't have her here because we could get in trouble with the university. I can't risk, they both have scholarships, we can't risk losing our scholarships and on and on. But anything else on Molly and Ben and that whole saga before we move on?
No, just get the hoe away from Ben. Get her away.
The good news is I'm feeling a little bit it's a little less likely that Ben will now use the drugs that were in that apartment.
Well, there's also this episode called James and the Giant Peach. Sorry, Jess, it wasn't about James's dick.
Really sad it wasn't about his dick.
Who do you think is getting shot?
Oh, with the gun, with James's gun, Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
Who is getting shot? I mean, hopefully Molly.
Wow.
Not hopefully. That sounds horrible. But like, I don't want any of my main characters getting shot. You know what I mean? Like, I like all the other characters. I don't want any of them to get shot.
I forget that just because we see a gun means that it's going to come back into play. I'm like so depressed now. I don't.
Sean can't get shot, right? Like, absolutely can't be Sean.
Stop. Don't even.
Can't be
that.
Megan.
I feel like Sean's been in the hospital too much. I feel like each character has like a certain quota of episodes they could be in the hospital, and once they go over that, they're like, yeah, having this character in the hospital will be repetitive at this point.
We've seen writers get a good hating into characters and just put them through the ringer in certain seasons. So like, it could happen where Sean's just like, ooh, lost a testicle, ooh, got shot, like, you know.
Yeah, but losing a testicle, there's still like a little bit of comedy in there, and that Sean's
and
still
he has a little bit of a grace period, maybe. Like he hasn't, like he just wore the assless chaps this episode. Let's give him a break, you know.
Yeah, I don't think they're going full Jen Lindley with Sean. Like,
no, hopefully not. Sarah, who do you think is going to get shot?
I guess Ben.
Ben. Okay, that's where we're putting the money down. I have Molly. Sarah has Ben. We'll see.
I don't want it to be so, but
yeah. Okay. Well, we were already talking about her a little bit, so let's continue to talk about Elena. Finally, seriously, like the fact that this storyline started in like season 1 and it is just now getting resolved is wild and outrageous. However, I do think it has a good payoff, Tom. Like, I do think because they held on to it, because they sat on this storyline for so long, it does kind of deepen it and make it feel more real, right? There are other women who are coming forward, or I guess not coming forward, but should be coming forward, according to Sabina, the one who has kind of put in this complaint about McGrath. And I don't know, I really felt like all of Elena's reactions to this felt so real and genuine and true to like what could happen in the real world.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think the writers intended to ever bring it back with like, because they had it, I forget how it ended in season 1, but by season 2 it was done, and they kind of, it seemed like they had just kind of moved on, and like maybe they just didn't want to address it. And then in season 3 it seems like we need to address we got to
give something for Elena to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Sarah, what do you think? I kind of assume they were always just keeping it as like a, we can use this anytime we want, we could detonate this bomb whenever.
Yeah, I think so. Like, once again, I think the show is very intelligent, so I could imagine that like this was a sticky note on the wall that has always been in the mix. And I agree with you that addressing it later, like in a season and a half later, makes it more real. I actually very much enjoyed the conclusion of the storyline. Hopefully it's the conclusion, because number one, we get to meet another woman that experienced this. We learn that Dr. McGrath is a liar. He lied about his wife's health condition, and he lied about that it was his wife and not his ex-wife. So I think that was the turning point for Elena. Like, she really thought that she was something special in terms of like, she was the one that came onto him, and like, you know, maybe he had affairs with other women, but like it was different. They had something real, yada, yada, yada. But that was like a turning point for her. And then her kind of battling with the fact that like I was the one that initiated it. Like, he wasn't, and how that could be, how that's how she perceived it. But when there's these like different levels of like a power position, how like it's not totally the case of, you know, black and white as so often Elena sees things. And then finally, I really appreciated Elena's integrity of like, yes, Elena earned her spot into NYU. She earned her spot into Dr. McGrath's class. You know, there was one grade that got changed, but in her mind, that kind of voids all the work that she's done that's so good. And I appreciate the fact that like, she's like, no, like I want to retake that class and I want to be like all me. And I don't think that was necessary. Like, I probably wouldn't do that, but I really, really respect Elena for like taking that stance. Like, yes, she's being hard on herself, but that's the thing about Elena. It's just like, no one's going to gift me anything. I'm going to get where I need to get with my own merit. And I really appreciate that. So all in all, this is probably the highest I've been on Elena in a really long time.
Yeah, and I think this comes at an interesting time comes at like the perfect time for Elena to sort of well, maybe perfect's maybe the wrong word, but it comes at this moment where she's viewing the relationship in a different way because of what just happened with Tracy, and so she's seeing herself in a more negative way, and so she's seeing this is like this. I don't think she's as confident as in herself and what in her actions as she would have been last season if it had come up, and so I think she sees this as a whole way for her to try to get some sort of redemption for Tracy as well as the McGrath stuff.
Yeah, it does make sense that she would feel that way, especially it feels like she is trying to brush it under the rug, trying to move on from it because she does feel so much shame about the fact that she took that better grade. She allowed it, like in her mind, she did something wrong. She was the one who started a relationship with him. She was the one who then benefited because he gave her a better grade. And then it was over and she never said anything and she should have, right? Like, so in her mind, she is the one who is guilty. I think looking at it from today's perspective, obviously, very clearly, we know there was an imbalance of power. We know McGrath was a dirtbag, like without having to hear that he did this many times to many students and lied about his wife. His wife is sick, who's not actually his ex-wife, but his actual wife, and she isn't even ill. Like, all of that stuff is so manipulative and so disgusting. I feel like I felt really bad for Sabina through a lot of this episode because she's the one who, she's like, it finally dawned on me that, like, that wasn't right. Like, what happened, it was harassment and I should do something about it. But she's struggling because she can't find other women to come forward. And in the 90s, it wasn't as simple as like, yeah, that professor is a dirtbag, let's get rid of him, because he has all of the staff on his side of like, this is a tenured professor, like, we respect him, we don't believe this. It's like, okay, now we know we should be believing women, or, you know, a lot of us know that we should be believing women. But I felt really bad for Sabina, who's sitting there trying to convince Elena, like, you need to step up and like say something with me because this guy is messed up. And even Elena's, not testimony, because they weren't like in a court case, but her story of what happened, she even does say like, no, I was the one who approached him, like I did benefit. She doesn't lie at all. But even still, Sabina's lawyer or whoever that was is like, yeah, you were 18, like he manipulated you, this isn't right. And it took Elena this whole episode to kind of figure out, like, you're right, what he did was wrong, but what I did was, she also still feels that guilt, right? Sarah, like the way you said it, Sarah, like she does have a lot of integrity. She views it as, and this is, though I related so much to Elena in this episode because of kind of the shame spiral, anxiety spiral she goes through of like, because of this one thing she did, she views everything else good that ever happened after it as like null and void. Like you said, Sarah, it's like, none of that matters anymore. I didn't actually accomplish any of that. And I don't know, Sarah, how did you feel about Felicity going to Tracy and being like, you got to talk to Elena?
I don't think I minded it because, I mean, honestly, it brings Tracy back into the mix, who I miss, and I like him on my TV screen. But also, I think that Elena respects Tracy so much. She sees him as like pretty much like the smartest person that she knows. And like Tracy, in a way, gets like naturally better grades. We know this, studying less and everything like that. And if anybody's going to get through to Elena as to like she belongs in the doctorate program, it would be Tracy. And I think that like it's one thing for like, you know, you and I to tell a mutual friend, something like, I believe in you. Of course you can be that you deserve to be there. You've worked so hard. Like when your close friends tell you that, even though they're your close friends, it sometimes holds less weight than like somebody that like you really, really respect, like a Tracy. And especially now that they have like these issues between them, like any kind words that he says to her kind of means even more. So I personally didn't mind it. It's just that like she needed to hear it from somebody that she sees as an equal within the medical program.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that could have been like a professor that we haven't met yet, or the dean or whomever, but we have Tracy, and that's like who we have that is still in the doctorate program.
Tom, it did feel a little bit like leave Tracy alone. Like, why is he the one who has to like amp up his ex-girlfriend who cheated on him? Like, I understand the reasoning, and Tracy again is like an absolute angel and like actually does it and does say these things to Elena that make her feel at least a little bit better and worthy. But I was like, God damn, like leave Tracy out of this, man. Like let this man move on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're gonna let Tracy move on. And again, I don't. So I know some things that are gonna happen, but I don't know how the Elena Tracy relationship goes actually. But just watching it, I'm like, Donald Faison doesn't seem like he's leaving the show anytime soon. So I think he's gonna. I think this was like a step towards some sort of reconciliation.
Well, he did say like God likes forgiveness or preaches forgiveness or whatever, so I'm working on it. Like he's like, I'm not building a bridge, like there isn't a bridge, but like maybe one day there will be a bridge. Yeah.
As a person who is proudly a grudge holder, I too am learning how to forgive. And I feel like I would be a higher version of myself if I let go of my little box of trinkets, aka my little box of grudges. So I too.
Do you have treasures? Do you have like trophies from your grudges?
In my mind, I do.
This sock reminds me of this person who once stole my seat on the bus.
In my mind's eye, you know, like when you go to the dentist when you're a kid and there's the treasure chest and you open up the treasure chest, and there's like Slinkies and like the guy with the goopy hand, you know, the goopy hand
You're
guy.
showing your age, but yes, I know exactly.
In my mind, that is my treasure chest of grudges, and I am trying to let go because I will be a more elevated version of myself if I stop with the grudges. So that
I also think you live longer. I feel like it's proven that like holding grudges makes you die quicker. I was literally just having this conversation with my mom the other day because we were talking about just, you know, like interfamily drama and how is it possible for one person to hold a grudge for like 15 years against someone, and like again, we don't always know every single reason. And certainly I'm not saying don't keep people in your life that deserve to be cut out of your life. But it's just interesting that I'm like, I both don't have the memory nor the emotional stamina for like superior grudge holding. I just feel like I can't be bothered. I'd rather just be apathetic towards someone because I just physically can't.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tom? Are you a grudge holder, Tom?
I am.
Yeah, yeah. I could tell. I feel like, yeah. That tracks.
I mean, I know Sarah's probably right.
It's okay. In a couple of years, when you get to my old age, which I think is next year, actually.
Yeah, next year.
Next year when you get to Sarah's advanced age.
Yeah, I think I'm like 14 months younger than you, yeah.
You two will get there, I promise.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think there's a difference between...
I went to church twice this year, so now I'm really...
I do...
closer to God.
I do think there is a difference between forgiveness and just plain moving on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like there is a difference because forgiveness, I feel like takes more energy and requires more like thoughtfulness and like empathy. And moving on could just simply be like, I don't even think about that anymore. I don't bother myself with that anymore. And I feel like you can do either one, and it's better than, you know, being just like feeling hate.
Yeah, so I think as time passes, the grudge is less hate, but it is like also more closed, and like there's certain things like I at this point it was like, I'm not going to forgive you. That's so far in the past. Like, does that even make sense? Like, I don't think about it anymore, but also like, I'm never going to forgive that.
You just want to move on from it. Yeah. No, that tracks. And listen, it could be that I just haven't had something bad. Like, no one has done something bad enough to me to warrant like a really, really like deep-seated grudge. That's possible.
It doesn't have to be big. That's the thing.
What's the smallest grudge that you hold against someone? Like the smallest grudge that you're like, I fucking hate this person, and it's for a dumb reason.
Timing is matters very much. Like, there are certain times where you are in a place where a little thing can be like, no, not today, not right now, not where I am in life. But you saying that right here, you're done forever. Like just I can't forgive that. That's it's, and like if they had said that like the next day, maybe.
But then what, like the day after that, or like a week later, are you like, that was a bit of a blow up, I'm over it now? Or is it still just like, I still fucking hate you?
It's not even hate, Jessica. I have grudges against people that I love and that like I speak to like every day. So
yeah. I mean, Jess, she probably has a grudge, some grudge.
Oh, I'm sure she's holding some grudge against me.
I know she has a couple against me.
At least one. At least.
When you want to talk about it, let me know.
I know there's at least one. I still, and see, this is what I mean more about like apathy or just wanting to move on.
Yeah.
I know she still holds the state thing against me.
Oh,
but we don't talk about that because that is something that will only ever be resolved in joint group therapy. Because we just can't anymore.
That's one of them. Now there's 3. So
3? There's 2 others? What in the world? Oh my god! Now I want to know. Okay, let's talk about Noel and Felicity and Noel learning Flash. This felt the most dated, obviously, of like anything. I loved this storyline. It was so stupid.
It's been so tough to be Team Noel. It's just been like L after L for Noel. You got the whole Tyra Banks storyline. Just Noel, what are you doing? And then this one. I think he's back on track. He
wants to be back on his 4-year plan, and his plan, Sarah, is web comics, like web animation.
Yeah. Well, this like very much remind me of like Adult Swim. Well, like this type of, especially Felicity's comic that she was into. So, yeah, like Rooster Teeth. That's something that is something I think Tom knows, right? You know, Rooster Teeth. No? Okay. Well, anyway.
You just combined 2 words. I have no idea.
No. I'm pretty sure it's something. But anyway.
You know, like cow elbows, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
I
this is a level of nerddom that I don't venture into. That's
wow,
like,
Sarah,
that's over
such
there.
a nerd. Such a nerd.
Stop it.
I'm looking it up. Rooster Teeth. Rooster Teeth is the home of premium dumb content. Watch comedy skits, podcasts, stunning animation, gameplay commentary, and more.
Yep. See? Yeah. So I think that this like very much makes sense. It seems like something that like content made by teenage boys for teenage boys, essentially. And you know, like he's like trying to find his new thing. Like, what's his new thing? And I guess animation is it. I really loved the beginning where he was showing Felicity, and Felicity was like, I like that robot that has a limp. It makes it very like unique. And then like, oh my god, the elephant / mailbox bit was so funny. She was like,
at that point, I thought she was hurting him on purpose because I feel
No.
like it was pretty obvious that was a mailbox.
It was.
But,
Like the way that
I
she was
love
like, it's a tail. I just like love how she said that line. It's a tail. It was so funny. And then later on, she was like, is that an elephant? And he's like, no, Felicity.
No elephants. This is a farm.
And so basically, yeah. So she was like, you know what? Like, your backgrounds are great. Like, the fact that you're able to put it into animation is great, but you need help with your art. And this is where Felicity comes in because she is a wonderful artist and she took that motions class once and she knows all about how to do this correctly.
Mm-hmm. This is all an elaborate plan to get with Felicity, right? Like we're
Oh, Noel is this is exactly what I was going to say, Thomas. This is the avenue through which Noel and Felicity get back together. Is they're like working on either Loser Pet Store or some other idea, and it's like, oh, I need your help with this, and that. Also, we're gonna fuck now. Like, it's definitely gonna happen.
Yeah, this is him learning the right lessons from the Tyra Banks. He's like, you know what I learned? I'm spending a lot of time together, having shared interests, good. Hacking into their emails, bad.
I mean, he is kind of like, she gave him permission, so it's not stealing. But she's doing all the work, and he's getting kind of all the credit for this. Loser Pet Store was a genius idea. I loved it. We have this could be a children's book. Well, you have to switch some things. But you have the poodle who's convinced he's a cat because he just got neutered. The snake who's in a relationship with his own tail because he thinks it's another snake. Yeah. The alcoholic fish who wants his water to be Smirnoff. That one you have to change for the children. But it's funny.
This is why I think it should be like an Adult Swim show, actually. Like, I think that like it should be for adults and be a little racy. I really liked it as well. Is a snake one giant tail? That's once again going into the philosophical questions over here. I would say no. There's a head, there's a tail. I don't know where it begins and where it ends, but I don't think a snake is one giant tail. Tom, what do you think?
I mean, it's close. I mean, like, because here's the thing.
I'm so sorry.
What?
I Googled it. I Googled it and I got an answer that was hysterical. If you ever wondered if snakes have tails, the answer is yes. The official cutoff point, Dr. Cagle says, is the anal vent.
Perfect.
I didn't know that I needed to hear the words anal vent, but I'm happy. And this comes from Duke University, so it does come from a .edu.
Yeah, very. I guess that's that. I guess they have it, but there. What'd you say, Tom? It was.
I don't know, something about anal vents. I guess.
No, it was before that. It was before that. You're like it's cutting it close or something. Oh man.
Because think if a snake were to go to another animal and like bite onto their butt and then be hanging off, the snake would just be the animal's tail at that point. Think about it.
And this is where we find out that Tom took Molly's cocaine. He was rolling.
I just still can't get over the words anal vent. So is that like a butthole? Are they just calling it something else? Anal vent equals butthole?
I mean, I guess so.
Why don't you Google that, Jess? Let's see what
dig deep.
I can't believe it. Anyway,
justice for the snakes in this world. They're just trying to get by.
So I want to go back to something you said at the beginning of this podcast where you said someone thought you'd had like deep philosophical discussions on this podcast. Who are these people that think you have these?
So like my new uncle-in-law is like very fascinated with the fact that like we have a podcast, and he like comes to me and is like, God, like what was he saying? Because like there was like he got into a whole discussion about how like like people seek like entertainment with podcasts, education, or like you can come to the perspective that like he got very philosophical. But then one of the things was like, what do you do when people come to you and want to have like a very intellectual, well-researched conversation? And like, you know, you're saying that like you guys are here more for the vibes and like they get like angry at you. I was like, well, that very much happens because Jessica and I are stupid, uneducated bitches. And
Wasn't
like,
that the whole Gilded Age experiment?
essentially, right?
See, okay, I do hold grudges, actually. I've just remembered. I hold grudges. And it's against all those
there we
motherfuckers.
go. There we go.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And I was like trying to say to him, I was like, look, like hopefully people come, they listen. If it's not for them, then they respectfully leave. If it is for them, then they have a good time and they stay. But like Jessica and I are never here to be like, we are like educated people, like we like do the research and we do this and we do that. Like we're just here to have fun. We're trying to entertain. And then when people, I think like Jessica has this is so like left of center of this conversation, but I think Jessica has a much healthier perspective on this because when these situations arise, you say to me, Jess, like, look, like we are not trying to be something that we're not, like we're just trying to be funny or we're just trying to entertain. And then I get very inward. I'm like, well, maybe I should be educating myself. Like maybe I should like research this and like be more open to like doing more work towards the podcast. Like we have like, but that's because it's easier for me to just like blame myself or something rather than realize that there's just like maniacs out there that just like to be mean for me.
Well, that's the thing. The way I always say it is there are certain things I don't like, but that doesn't mean I'm going to find those things and leave them horrible reviews and send them like hateful messages. Like if I don't like something, I'm just going to stop listening and call it a day. It's the jerks that are going to, unless we say something that is like truly horribly offensive or something, in which case I would like to know that I said something offensive. But like most times people just want to just say what they want to say and get their words on the internet. And that's just what it is. The reason I get annoyed is because I know it's going to hurt Sarah's feelings and I don't like it. I don't like it. I just want people to be kind. And if they want to listen, great. We love you and we respect you and we love that you listen to us. And if you don't want to listen, then just kindly leave. You can Irish goodbye. No one's going to be upset.
Or you can like come and like open a conversation and you can email us if you have questions about our beliefs or what's in our heart. You can just ask us and then we'll be honest with you.
Yeah, shit90spod.com.
Well, but only be nice. But
only
no,
be nice, yeah.
To answer your question, I don't know. Like apparently people like I think that like everybody expects like I don't know. We have a platform. I like obviously what we say like it's not going off to the ether as I so thought many years ago. Like people listen and I respect everybody's opinions, but just like be nice, you know? I don't know.
I don't know how we got on this topic, but
I don't know.
The loser pet store was very fun. Anal vents, that's right. Anal vents. Noel isn't very good at this, but Felicity is, and I love that for her.
But Noel is very good at coming up with an elaborate plan to get back with Felicity.
Yes.
Ben's going to be distracted. Probably he's probably going to get shot and be distracted.
He's going to be in the hospital again.
Yeah, this is what it is. He's going to get shot. He's going to be in the hospital. He's going to have to go on the pain medicines. Now he's an addict. He's distracted. And then Noel sweeps in with his loser pet store and
his anal vents.
Then Ben and Felicity go on their summer vacation like they always do, but then they come back and then they're together again, Noel and Felicity, and then the show ends. I figured it out.
Nailed it. We don't even need to do the rest of this.
Maybe this will be the one summer she doesn't go off with Ben. Maybe this will be the summer of Noel.
Well, if that's the case, then she is going to end up with Ben. Whoever she goes to summer with this summer, she ends up with the opposite person.
Those are the rules, Tom.
Put that in the thing. Did you put it in the thing?
What thing?
The prediction.
Oh, just put that in the thing. Like I'm supposed to know what the hell that means.
So if she goes this summer, if she goes to summer, if she goes to summer with Ben, then she ends the show being with Noel. If she goes to summer with Noel, then she ends the show being with Ben. 1,000% guaranteed.
There you go. You heard it here first, folks. We need to talk about Megan and Sean because
did you not do that?
No, this is the final topic. Here's the thing. Yeah. I love this storyline because it's real. It's extra AF, but this happens when you get into a new relationship a lot of
Mhm.
times, especially if you're someone like Megan who's like a big time partier and like going to raves and stuff. You get a little bit domesticated and you stay home more and you're watching videos, especially if your boyfriend just lost a ball and was in the hospital and is now like super Jewish and stuff. Like you're hanging out at home with him watching videos, and she bumps into stupid freaking Earl who's like, you're a loser now, Megan. Like you don't even go out with us anymore. Meh. And so she gets all up in her feelings, Tom, and she's like, it's time. I need to get back to my badass bitch self and go to the fetish ball.
Yeah, I mean, and she kind of just springs this on Sean, and like she doesn't even really give Sean like a chance to sort of say yes, because it's on the Sabbath, and he's just like, I mean, how about like we compromise and we go to like a comedy club? But she's just like, no, we got to do this, because yeah, I don't know, why is she friends with Earl? Who knows?
Because once you join Friends of Earl, you're always in Friends of Earl until you're not. I thought this was so funny, honestly, because it is pretty real. Like sometimes, like when you have your friends have a new boyfriend or girlfriend, they just disappear off the face of the earth, and then they lose a little bit of themselves. And it's just like a very relatable thing to watch. And I think like once Megan realizes that she's like more domesticated or more like less edgy, more, I don't know, then she's like, fuck that. Like I refuse. Like I'm not going to be somebody that like loses myself in a man or in a relationship. And then she kind of like goes off and does her own thing, but she still like loves Sean. She still wants to be with Sean. And I think like Sean is definitely like at the other end of the spectrum. Like he was always more of a homebody. So they have to like find the compromise. And, you know, she really wants him to go to this fetish ball. He's like, that's a lot. But, and also it is the Sabbath. It's my religion. She's like, fuck you. I'm doing my own thing. Get out of here. But then he just does the most romantic thing ever. And he's like, I will give up the Sabbath. Me and God, we have this agreement. This is going to be okay. I will go in my assless chaps and I will meet you there. But Megan has already ditched the fetish ball by the time he gets there, which is so sad.
I love this. I love this because it is a gesture for her, right? It is a Fran Drescher. Like Sean would never in his everyday life be wearing these like pleather clothes. He's literally wearing one of those like breastplate chain things. Like he, you know, his ass is out. Okay. Like he just lost a ball. He just went through cancer treatments, and he is now out in New York City with his full ass out for Megan. And he like she wanted him to come, but I think she understood that it really wasn't his thing. So this is very much he's putting himself out there specifically for Megan. And I love that because yes, sometimes it's really lovely if you and your significant other have shared interests and like to do the same sorts of things. But usually there's at least going to be one thing that maybe your partner likes that you don't. But like part of being in a relationship is trying out something new. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. You don't have to do it, but giving it a whirl and seeing how it goes. And I love, Tom, that Sean is man enough to just let his ass fly in New York City. I love that for him.
Yeah, I think it's time to have a very serious discussion. For years, I have said that The Wall was the best Fran Drescher of any show that you've covered. I do think it might have been usurped here. The Wall. I mean, The Wall is The Wall, but the assless chaps.
Just look at him. If you're watching this on YouTube,
wow,
look at his ass. Okay,
he has a little dimple in his foot.
I know. But
That's a little. I just want to bite it.
and he also, I'm gonna go back a little bit because he also has like, I don't know if it's like a cup or like what's happening here.
Well, it's to protect his one ball. I'm glad that he has more room in his jockey shorts, right? We just learned that phrase, right, Jess?
Jockey shorts?
Yeah, that's what the grandma said. And while you're sleeping,
Oh yes.
at least he has more room in his jockey shorts.
Look at this hat. It's like a pleather train conductor hat, and he's wearing fingerless gloves.
Yeah,
like,
he looks incredible. I think that him and Megan are gonna really have a good time going to Pound Town tonight.
He's carrying a whip. Also, what is around his neck? Is this like a mini vibrator? Or it's maybe a crystal?
I think it looks like a crystal.
I think it's based on the fact that this is on network TV. It's probably not a vibrator. I think every time I've ever seen a vibrator on TV, it's been like blurred. So I think it's probably not one.
Huh. I don't know. What did you think of Megan's choice to go as like a pregnant lady as like her fetish choice?
I don't kink shame, so I have nothing to say.
I like she said it, and I was like, "Huh, that's not something I usually think of as a fetish." But I guess it is.
Everything is.
I mean,
yeah.
And
she could use it as an excuse to like reprimand people for touching people's stomachs without their permission, which I liked because more people should be reprimanded for that.
Or is that the fetish? Like, is that why people touch?
I think the fetish is fucking them, not touching their stomachs.
No. You're wrong.
The fetish is touching the stomach.
Part of it, yeah.
I think part of it.
Yeah.
With their dick or just with their hand?
With their hand, but probably their dick. I don't know.
I think things you enjoy, you want to touch with your hand, your dick, like all.
It's just everywhere.
Isn't there a movie or like a show or something where like the guy's like, oh no, it might be Friends, because that's a thing that's always like said like, oh, if you're pregnant and you're past your due date and you want to like bring, make the baby come out, you're supposed to have sex. That's supposed to like loosen you up, like eat spicy food, go on a long walk, have a little trip to Pound Town. And I think the guy was like, but what if my dick hits the baby's head? Like how,
that's in like every single piece of media that's ever lived.
I'm not a doctor, so I can't say for sure.
Yeah. That's I've heard that in many a media.
I think you'd have to have a long dick for it to anyway.
You have to have a giant peen.
That giant peen. James and the giant peen. That's Megan and Sean. Megan is like, oh my god, look, he wear assless chaps for me. Very sweet. Couldn't stand them more. I love this couple so much. Fuck you, Earl. Get out of here.
I love them too. The only thing I don't love is how like they're having this narrative, like, oh, we break up, that's what we do. Like this is like our thing.
That. Although didn't she say to Earl, like, we didn't break up?
No, she said like we broke up, that's what we do.
She said that's our fetish.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then
I like that.
I did like how she said that I don't date losers. I guess I just hang out with them. Boom.
Yeah. Get them. Boom. Roasted, bitch.
Boom roasted.
Love it. Okay, well, that's our episode. We got to give out a point here to somebody. Who's earning a point this episode?
Sean?
Yeah.
What?
The biggest Fran Drescher of all time, Sean and his assless chaps.
Yeah. Yay. So romantic.
Honorable mention to Noel for getting back in there.
I will not be honorably mentioning Noel, actually. I would like to remove myself from that narrative. But
finding his way back in.
Honorable mention to Sabina. Okay, let's get into some feedback here. We heard from Jamie, who says, wow, the show is really trying to make Molly happen. And for me, it's not working at all. I know I probably sound like a broken record, but season 3 is not the show I fell in love with. I'm curious, now that we're more than halfway through season 3, how are you ladies feeling about it compared to seasons 1 and 2? Sarah?
I think that 2 for me is my favorite season thus far. I actually like 3 so far better than 2. And that's just because of how unlikable Felicity was for me in season 1. Like I just like couldn't get behind her. And I mean, it's not a secret like that. I honestly wasn't feeling season 1 that much. And season 2 really brought it around for me. And like I said in the top of the episode, I am kind of just here for the vibes, and a stupid show is better for me than a show that, like, I don't know, like I actively dislike. Like, I don't know, if it's entertaining me, then I'm fine with it. What do you think, Jess?
I think what season 3 has going for it is I'm enjoying Ben and Felicity being in a relationship. Like I beyond legally being team Ben, I really actually like, I agree with you, Sarah. I like Felicity a lot this season. So I think that's really helping me. I think I probably still like season 2 better than season 3. And as for, maybe season 3, I think the biggest struggle for me is I feel like the show didn't know how to deal with the Julie departure. And I think that's why it feels so weird, because the problem is we have Molly, who doesn't really fit in. However, we've also gotten the benefit of having Megan around more and her and Sean dating, which is one of my favorite things that's happened on the show. So obviously I have to credit season 3 with that. So I don't know, it's kind of like highs and lows. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, the Sean and Megan is like a big plus. That wasn't in the first season at all, and barely in the second season. I think 2 probably is the best of the 3, but I get liking 3 more than 1. Yeah, it's a bummer that Julie left, though. I do think you feel the loss. I don't know, the Molly stuff is tough, and depending on how you feel about it, can be kind of just like I watched the episode and I was just like angry at Molly for a couple days.
Yeah, it's fair. It's very fair. We also got a voicemail from Temmie, so let's hear what he has to say.
Hi, people. Do you like murder mysteries, procedurals, true crime podcasts? For me, I like near murder mysteries. Like this one story that you might have heard of. It's not really very popular, about the boy who lived.
Oh.
I know you guys like Harry Potter, and Sarah, you've been doing all the Breaking Bad. I don't know this stuff, so I had to answer with this. But
Okay.
I thought that Molly and Ben, they should have entered into an unbreakable vow. And maybe then, if Ben told Felicity what he knew, then Ben would have died. And that would have made DBK happy. So I was to see DBK happy. So my real question, though, is do you prepare in advance for dangerous situations that may arise? Everyday situations like car trouble or just general preparedness for weather events, things like that. I think I do a little bit. It's good to know in advance what usually government organizations recommend. It's always good to keep up to date with that, especially with health, what we dealt with in the pandemic. So, well, I think I missed something, but it's okay. Have a great day. Bye.
Sarah, how prepared are you for life's events?
I would say probably not that prepared. I mean, maybe more prepared than I was 2 years ago, but I don't feel that prepared. I don't know. But I do love a murder mystery, and I like my favorite book genre is thrillers. So, and I do think that a Unbreakable Bond probably would have benefited Molly and only Molly. And
100%.
I don't think that Ben should sell his soul to make a deal with Molly, please, for goodness sake.
How prepared are you, Tom, if your car broke down?
car trouble is like a nightmare. I'm just every time I go out, I'm just like, please, nothing happen, because I'm totally ill-equipped to handle anything that happens. And every time some light goes off or whatever, I'm just like, oh fuck. And just I'm also the person who, like, there'll be an issue and I'll be like, I don't want to deal with this right now. Maybe some other time.
You just put it off. You're just like, oh, maybe if I just leave that light will just turn off.
That's, I mean,
Do you now I really want to know, do either of you have like an emergency kit in your car, like a first aid kit, a roadside assistance kit? Okay.
No.
For the audio only listeners, that's a big fat silent pause and maybe some cringes happening.
Well, the funny thing is that we do have like a car, like a tire jack thing. You know what I mean?
That usually comes with the car. Mm-hmm.
No, like a big, like, sturdy.
Oh, okay, got it.
It's in the car that's broken down in the garage, so that probably wouldn't help us.
Super helpful.
Yeah.
Everyone should have just like a first aid kit at the very least in their car. Like, it usually comes with like jumper cables, like a blanket, so like if you are stranded in the cold,
nobody needs that. That's ridiculous.
No, people need that. People do need that.
It's like such a waste of money.
Okay, well, next time your car breaks down. No, I'd say I'm a fairly prepared person.
It's just because of your anxiety.
I mean, yeah, shouldn't it benefit me sometimes?
Yeah, I think
it causes me enough strife.
It's because of
your anxiety. Yes, it is. Okay, let's hear what DBK has to say about this episode.
What up, though, ladies? James and the Giant Peas. Really good episode for me. A lot of good stuff coming in this one. We're getting the start of Loser Pet Store. Exciting times, guys. The whole McGrath thing is finally out and about. We get Tracy being awesome. And then we get the whole, I'm curious to see how you guys feel about the whole Molly of it all. But yeah, let's talk about my Ben rating there, Jessica. I mean, I'm completely fine with having Ben low on my list. I mean, if you want to reward a guy that, physically assaults another guy for no reason, like sucker punches him, gets pretty close to physically assaulting Felicity. I mean, he like smashes a lamp in front of her. He like shouts at her a bunch this season. I mean, if that's the kind of stuff you want to reward with like a high ranking, more power to you. But, I know it's not as bad as gaslighting, but, physical violence, I'm not really down for. So, Ben's going to stay low on my list just for, his shitty actions. I mean, I guess he did throw a dope surprise party, so maybe I should bump him up on the list for his shitty behavior, but it's not going to happen. Anyways, till next week, ladies. Peace.
That is hysterical. And honestly, after we recorded that week and we did our rankings, I was like, oh shit, Ben did do some like real shitty stuff earlier in the season that I just think I had selective memory about, because obviously him
surprise party.
He did throw a dope surprise party. So yeah, it's great. Also good to hear. If I'm reading into DBK's words, I heard that this is the beginning of Loser Pet, which means we're getting more Loser Pets, baby. It's not just this episode.
Yeah.
Very
Great.
exciting.
You like Loser Pet Store more than documentary?
Yes.
And it's not close.
You also mentioned Tracy being awesome. So, Sarah, on the Buffy podcast,
yes,
you were very, very anti Oz and Willow getting back together. Are you the same amount of anti Tracy and Elena ever getting back together?
I don't think I was. I
was anti Oz and Willow getting back together.
Am I anti? I just think. Okay, I'm just gonna answer your question. Like, do I think that Tracy and Elena should get back together? Yes, but I think that they need to figure out how they're going to navigate the sexual issues between them. And I think that they need to communicate. I think that they need more time. Like, I think that and time is something that we don't really have with television shows. Like, I think in a year they should get back together. After like Tracy kind of like forgives and Elena figures out like why she cheated. Is it something more than just the fact that they weren't having sex? Is it something else? Like, I think that they need to do some digging. In terms of like Oz and Willow, I just feel as though I don't think that Willow I don't think that like Willow like treated Oz. I mean, like, but Elena didn't treat Oz very well. I don't know. Also, I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I mean, Jess, like, I'm like floundering here.
Yeah,
this is what DBK says all the time. Like, we give certain people passes and other people no passes.
So I personally, what I remember you saying about Waz is that like Oz will not be able to trust Willow, and that is going to be an ongoing issue between them.
Yes,
which is a very fair thing to say, right? Because of the whole cheating thing. But
I did forget that. Okay, that's probably what Tom you were bringing. I forgot about that whole entire thing.
Podcasting is a black hole, and when you say something, it just goes out and then it's gone forever. So I get it.
You were a completely different person back then. You had a different name.
I was single, like technically single on paper. Yeah. Now I'm a married woman. Like, I think totally different things.
But I do think I think at the situation, while both involve cheating situations, I think we have like some slightly different stuff where like with Willow and Oz, Willow cheated with like a fellow member of their friend group, which is like very complicated and like very troublesome for like the future of things, because they were also
not in the friend group.
No. I'm saying that the random next door neighbor wasn't in the friend group for like he wasn't in their friend group.
Got it.
So like, I think it's a little tricky with Waz because Xander is still in that friend group. However, I do think like there isn't this ongoing situation where that Elena and Tracy have, where they don't agree on like whether or not to have sex before marriage. And that, unless that gets resolved, I don't understand how they could be in a relationship. I think Tracy could eventually forgive Elena, but unless they resolve that issue, I don't see how they could get back together. I personally think Oz should have taken more time away from Willow, but you know, it is what it is. And I guess if we're all just going to be like, yep, Xander and Willow, nothing between them anymore, no chemistry, no nothing, it's just a blink and you miss it, sort of thing, then okay, yeah, sure, I guess, whatever. That's it. I still hate it. I'm still mad. If you couldn't tell, Tom, that's the grudge I hold. Mm-hmm. That's my grudge holding. It's my cross to bear. Okay, let's talk about next week's episode's title, because it has two different titles, which is interesting. So it's called Season 3, Episode 10, Final Touches, aka Let's Get It On.
Hey, okay.
Final Touches isn't going to be about finals week, hopefully, because they fucking
probably will be
twice already. Who's getting it on though? Like, let's get it on. Who's getting it on? Is it Elena and Tracy? Are they getting it on? Feels quick.
Yeah, maybe.
Get on?
Maybe.
Let's get it on.
Maybe. It would be. It would. I think it's like halfway through the season. So yeah, could be finals for like the first semester.
So annoying. I'm trying to think of who else would be having sex. Like, Elena and Tracy would be like the finally sort of thing. Like, Felicity and Ben are fucking all the time, so it's not them. Molly and James, we've already heard about his giant piece, so it's not them. Like, who? Sean and Megan are fucking all the time. Also, Sean and Megan definitely have loud sex that everyone overhears because he's in like the loft area.
Are they having sex a lot at the moment? Because he just had the surgery.
I think Megan does. I think Megan is very much a like, are you healed yet? Like, are you healed yet? Because I'm ready to ride it.
But is he healed yet? Yes. Like, could that be it? Like, he's finally.
I mean, I don't know how long it takes to recover from like having a ball chopped off your body. Like, I have no idea.
I don't think it's a chop. I think
Well, there's scalpels involved. They're sharp.
I mean, let's hopefully the audience is not as distrusting as of modern medicine to be like, oh, they're chopping things off.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's getting it on, but I mean, it's an exciting title, but I've been duped before. I have trauma from them trying to trick me and gaslighting me with these titles.
Yeah, there was no giant dick in this episode.
Very upsetting. I would have rather had a giant dick than a giant gun.
Yeah, for sure.
So just saying. Anyway, anything else we missed that we didn't already talk about, Tom? Anything that you were desperate to talk to us about?
No, really mostly just wanted to talk about the assless chaps and covered them pretty well. And
we
also,
saw pictures of them.
I did a completely unrelated topic. We talked about anal vent, so
I'll never get the words anal vent out of my
we really covered everything in this podcast.
Yes, we did. Sarah, anything else you want to say about James and his giant piece?
No. What a magical episode.
Yes. We're over halfway through this season already, which is kind of wild because season 4 is the final season of Felicity, because apparently there was one show in the 90s that was like, we don't have to run for 17 gazillion seasons. We could just do 4 and be done. So exciting. And it's really sad to me that Felicity has terrible hair for 2 full seasons of it, but that's, neither here nor there.
Well, that's
next
why I
week,
got canceled. Yeah.
Next week, we'll be talking about final touches, aka let's get it on. But until then, you could find us at Shit90spod everywhere, shit90spod.com. As we mentioned earlier, we do appreciate 5-star reviews and kind words thrown our way, and we'll read your feedback on the podcast if you send it in. So make sure you do so. Tom, do you want to point anyone to anything in particular? Your social media, anything you're listening to, anything like that?
Not really anything I'm doing. Also love Whirlwind Pods, Schitt's Creek, the talking shit. You guys are finally in the Patrick era, which is
so
super
good.
exciting.
Yes.
I joined in the PSR Discord. Stuart was doing a watch along the first kiss.
It's so sweet. It's so cute. I can't. Oh my God. It's so adorable. I love it so much. Yeah, go check out all that stuff. Sarah always is over on Whirlwind, behind the scenes, doing the hard stuff, doing the graphics, killing ass. I almost said killing ass. Kicking ass over there. So go check out everything Whirlwind Pods has going on. And we'll be back next week for season 3, episode 10. Let's get it on. Until then, everyone, have a good one. Bye.
Just ask. Shit 90 shows taught me.
Shit 90 Shows Taught Me was not filmed before a live studio audience.